Congratulations. You woke up today and decided you want to go to Mars. Not because NASA asked you, not because you're an astronaut, not because you passed any kind of test. Just vibes. Well, buckle up because we're about to ruin your day with facts. Mars, the fourth planet from the Sun, roughly 225 million kilometers away on average. And on average is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence, because Mars doesn't just sit there and wait for you like your Tinder matches do. It's orbiting the Sun at its own pace, which means the distance between Earth and Mars swings anywhere from about 55 million kilometers to over 400 million kilometers, depending on where both planets are. So step one of reaching Mars isn't rocket science, it's timing. Step one, wait for the universe to cooperate. You can't just leave whenever you feel inspired. Earth and Mars only line up for an efficient trip, called a Hohmann transfer window, once every 26 months. That's about 2 years and 2 months. Miss it and congratulations, you've just booked a ticket to nowhere. Because you'd either run out of fuel or spend way more time in deep space than your body, or your snack supply, can handle. So yes, your Mars trip has worse scheduling than a group project. At least with a group project, you can just do it the night before. With Mars, the universe does not care about your deadline extension request. Step two, build a rocket that doesn't kill you. Probably. Let's talk about what it actually takes to leave Earth. You need roughly 9.6 kilometers per second of delta V just to get off this planet and into orbit. For comparison, a commercial jet cruises at about 0.25 kilometers per second. So you're not building a firework. You're building something closer to a controlled explosion strapped to a very expensive tin can, and you're sitting on top of it voluntarily. This is why Mars missions cost billions of dollars. NASA's Perseverance rover mission alone cost around $2.7 billion, and that didn't even have a human on board. Add a human, and you also need life support, food, water, radiation shielding, a return vehicle, and enough redundancy that if one thing breaks, you don't just die instantly. Engineers call this safety margin. I call it, please don't let me become a cautionary tale. Step 3. Survive 7 months in a metal can. Once you launch, the journey takes about 7 months one way using current chemical rocket technology. 7 months. That's longer than most relationships last. You'll be floating in a spacecraft smaller than a studio apartment, breathing recycled air, drinking water that used to be someone's sweat, and eating food that comes in vacuum-sealed pouches and tastes like sadness with extra steps. And here's the part nobody puts on the brochure: deep space radiation. Once you leave Earth's magnetic field, there's nothing protecting you from cosmic rays and solar particles. Every single day in transit is basically a tiny, invisible gift from the universe, and that gift is increased cancer risk. NASA's solution is thicker spacecraft walls and water tanks positioned as shielding. Their other solution is hoping for the best. Very reassuring for a 7-month commute. Oh, and don't forget, muscle and bone loss from zero gravity. Astronauts on long missions can lose over 1% of their bone density per month. By the time you arrive at Mars, you might not even be able to stand up properly in Martian gravity, which is only about 38% of Earth's, by the way. So even landing is a workout you didn't train for. Step 4. Actually land on the thing. Here's where it gets genuinely terrifying. Mars has just enough atmosphere to heat your spacecraft up to blistering temperatures during entry, but not enough atmosphere to actually slow you down properly, the way Earth's thicker atmosphere does. Engineers call this stretch of the mission the 7 minutes of terror. I call it a personal problem I would very much like to avoid. During those 7 minutes, your spacecraft has to go from about 20,000 kilometers per hour to a complete stop, using heat shields, parachutes, retro rockets, and sometimes airbags, all on autopilot, because the communication delay between Earth and Mars is anywhere from 4 to 24 minutes one way. By the time mission control on Earth even knows you've started landing, you've already either survived or you haven't. There's no joystick. There's no do-over. And here's a fun statistic to really calm your nerves. Historically, roughly half of all Mars landing attempts by every space agency combined have failed. Half. That's a coin flip. With your life. Good luck. Step 5. Welcome to Mars. It's trying to kill you. Let's say you make it. You step out onto the red dust, plant a flag, do your little victory pose for the cameras back home. Congratulations. You are now standing on a planet that is actively hostile to your continued existence in almost every possible way. Average temperature on Mars, around -63 degrees Celsius. On a good day near the equator, it might hit a pleasant 20 degrees Celsius at noon, and then plummet to -80 or lower at night because Mars's atmosphere is too thin to hold on to heat. Speaking of thin atmosphere, air pressure on Mars is less than 1% of Earth's. That's so low that if you were exposed without a pressurized suit, the water in your blood and saliva would actually start to boil at normal body temperature. A delightful phenomenon called ebulism. You would not suffocate first. You would boil first, then suffocate. Silver linings. And what little atmosphere Mars does have is about 96% carbon dioxide. 0% of it is breathable by humans. So hopefully you packed your own air, because the locals aren't selling any. There's also no global magnetic field on Mars, which means the surface gets blasted with radiation levels roughly double what you experienced during the entire trip there. And without an ozone layer, UV radiation from the sun is intense enough to cause serious skin damage in minutes of unprotected exposure. Oh, and dust storms. Mars occasionally produces dust storms that engulf the entire planet for weeks or even months at a time, blocking sunlight so badly that solar-powered equipment can shut down completely. This actually happened to NASA's Opportunity rover in 2018, and it never woke back up. Mars isn't just hostile. Mars is petty about it. Step 6. Try to actually live there. Let's say, somehow, you want to stay a while, maybe build a little Martian life for yourself. You'll need to grow your own food, likely in sealed greenhouses, because Martian soil is full of toxic compounds called perchlorites that need to be processed out before anything is safe to eat. You'll need to manufacture your own oxygen, which NASA has actually tested using a device called MOXIE, which converts Martian carbon dioxide into breathable oxygen at a small experimental scale. You'll need radiation-shielded housing, possibly buried underground or built into lava tubes, because standing around on the open surface long-term is basically a slow-motion radiation exposure experiment starring you, and you'll need water. Thankfully, there's actually a decent amount of water ice locked beneath the Martian surface and at the poles, so that part is solvable. The rest of it, growing a self-sustaining civilization on a planet that wants you dead, is a slightly bigger ask. Step 7. Try to come home. Remember that 26-month launch window? It applies on the way back too. So if you forgot something important back on Mars, like, say, your will to live, you are stuck there for roughly 2 more years, waiting for Earth and Mars to line up again for the return trip. Total round-trip time, if absolutely everything goes according to plan, is somewhere between 2 and 3 years. For context, that is longer than most people spend getting an entire university degree, except your classroom is a tin can in the void of space, and your final exam is not dying. As of today, exactly 0 human beings have ever done this. 0. Every single person who has gone to space has stayed within, or barely beyond, Earth's orbit. You, hypothetically, would be the first human being in history to actually stand on another planet. Historic, genuinely one of the greatest achievements imaginable. Also, possibly dead. Both things can be true. Outro. So let's recap. A 2-year wait just to launch. 7 months of radiation exposure and muscle loss crammed into a metal tube. A landing sequence with a 50% historical failure rate. A planet with no breathable air, boiling blood pressure, freezing temperatures, deadly UV radiation, and dust storms that swallow the sky. And then, if you survive all of that, another 2-year wait just to come home. Naturally, humanity's official plan is send people anyway, because apparently that's just what we do. If you enjoyed watching me theoretically almost die on a planet I have never actually been to, do us both a favor and subscribe, because next time, we're going somewhere even worse, like the sun. See you there. Assuming I don't melt first.